Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Aditi and I am here sharing inspiration for Altnew's May 2024 release video hop. Since this is a hop, do like, share and subscribe and hop along each of the designers' videos to be inspired by this new release collection, and also comment to enter the fabulous giveaway from Altnew. Now, in my video, in the comments, do leave me a purple heart to let me know that you have watched my video and how you like the projects that I'm sharing today. Here is a glimpse of a variety of cards that I created using these new release products. In the video, I will only be playing with the Dynamic Duo and Mini Delight set. The Dynamic Duo set comes with this floral stencil, creating a beautiful floral cluster, and this coordinated stamp set to add some doodled outlined elements onto these floral clusters and sentiments. It does come along with this add-on die to die cut these elements. So I will be playing with some ink blending techniques using the Frosted Foliage and Blue Mountain ink set and begin just ink blending the floral cluster on a piece of cardstock. I always like to use my ultra sticky mat to hold the paper down in place, and here what I am doing is just aligning the two stencils together, making sure that I have enough place to fit the foliage, and then aligning the flower stencil down onto my paper to begin ink blending it. I start with the lightest color and I like using my mini blending tools for ink blending through stencil when creating such a project. So beginning with the lightest color, I start adding it more towards the center of the flower, extending it outwards. And then I pick in the second color and start blending that from the tips of the petal, bringing it inwards, merging with that lightest color that I already laid down. So I am just going to repeat that and get a nice layer of two-toned color down on the base layer of the flower. Now this stencil has just two layers. By that I mean it's going to be the base layer for the flower and one more detail layer to add shading. So that's the reason why through the first stencil itself I am bringing in two ink colors that just creates a little shading and variety on my flowers. So I repeat the same process on the smaller flowers in this floral cluster, and once I am happy, I am going to lift the stencil and realign it to go in with the shading, to go in with that detail layer to add more ink. For this detail layer, I go back in with the third shade of the color, just picking that and laying that out. And then I go back in with the final darkest color in this ink set just to add that at the center to deepen the color there on the flower. So once I have done that, I am happy and my flowers look good. I can then color in the flower center. So for that, I'm just using the green that I have here. I'm not picking out another color. I'm just using the lightest color and filling in the flower centers, and that just works well for me in this case. And once that is complete, all I'm going to do is lay the foliage elements, just following the layering guide, placing them where they need to be. And I am mixing between the greens that I have on the set here. So I'm using the second color jade, the third color eucalyptus, and then I go in with the forest fern just to add some dark details here and there. This is just going to bring in a little variety. So for the base layer, I'm adding the light color, of course, and then I go in with the darker color using the detail layer of the stencil, creating shades already in the entire foliage cluster. So I am just quickly repeating that process on both the top and the bottom leaf elements and completing ink blending through both the stencils that come in this set. Once that is done, I will just repeat the same process and ink blend another floral cluster, just so I have two floral clusters and I can use that second one for an additional card later on. So I then have the coordinated die, which is an add-on die like I mentioned. And the die for this particular set is very unique. You can get two kinds of die cards when using this. So one is an outline which die cards the entire outline of the floral cluster, and then other, when you place that, gives you individual die cuts of the flowers and the leaves that come in this set. Now before I actually die cut, I am going to use the coordinated stamp set with obsidian ink and add a little bit of the outline layers, which to me seems very loose and flowy. And so I'm not too worried particularly about aligning everything 100% well. I quite like the look of it being slightly off-centered, slightly being offset from the flower. I think that just adds to the modern look. However, if you are wanting to die cut all of these elements individually, then I would say you might have to really align it well, just because the die then is going to cut out at an odd angle and you may not like that. So for me, it works for the first card that I'm going to be showing you, because I'm just going to die cut the outline of that entire flower cluster. But for my second card that I show as an example, I definitely needed to align all the outline layers perfectly well, just so that I get crisp elements when I die cut them. Now while I'm at it, I also pick out a sentiment from the same stamp set and stamp that with obsidian ink and die cut that, so that it's easy for me to use that on my card. With that, my focal elements are ready, and for the background I'm using the new release 3D hexagon embossing folder, textured hexagons embossing folder, and I have used this light green colored cardstock, run that through the embossing folder, and I'm going in with the forest fern, which is the darkest green that I already worked with, and ink blending all over this embossing folder, but predominantly focusing on the outer edges, adding more depth and the darker inking to the borders, bringing in the light in the center, so leaving light areas in the center, creating this nice textured background that works fantastically for the flower cluster that I'm using today. So I have my flower cluster and I just like to play around and decide where I'd like to glue it down. And I am making sure that it is overhanging so that I can trim off that excess and add it on the opposite side of the card, just to balance and create a fuller looking card. With that done, then all I need to do is adhere the sentiment, and I like doing that with some foam tape just to create further depth and dimension. And I am adhering that between these flower clusters and completing my card with white acrylic ink splatter. I prefer doing this because I feel like it just makes all the colors pop up and adds this extra texture to my cards. Now for further embellishment, I'm using the new release Northern Shore enamel dots and adding these in threes just to further embellish and add that extra touch to my card. So with that done, this first card is complete, and I am showing you a closer look at the completed card right here, just to see all the colors and that dimension and beautiful gorgeous background. Now with the other die cut elements, I have created this slimline card, layering all these elements individually just to show you the two looks with the same set. So here are some closer details of the cards, and I am very happy with the way the colors have come around and with the way these elements have worked together well on both these cards. With that, now we will move on to the Mini Delight set, which comes with these gorgeous butterfly stamps and a layered die set to create a bird cage. So this is a very unique set, and I am going to be creating some colorful cards with this. So first up, I am just using the obsidian ink and stamping the outline layers of all the butterflies. There are two butterflies in this set, so I am stamping both these. just stamping multiple outlines so that I can go in with the layers of the butterflies and add color later on. I am using my Altenew inks, which was a collaboration with Amy Tan, and I love the vibrant colors in this set. So I am just playing with all the colors, bringing in the red, yellow, orange, pink, purple, blue, basically creating a nice rainbow of butterflies. So I am mixing and creating assorted butterflies, and you can see I have stamped quite a few at one go, simply because I can then fussy cut these and have them all ready to create multiple cards. Again, I will be creating one card along today, but showing you another example of how I have used these butterflies with other products from the new release. So just completing adding color to these butterflies with all their layers and filling in colors, making them more colorful. I have all my elements prepped and ready. So I have fussy cut these butterflies. I have used the coordinated die set with some glitter cardstock and green meadows, green cardstock, and just put together all these layers. So all my elements are ready. I did use the deco cover die set, and I cut that from gold mirror cardstock for a nice frame for my card today. And I am now just going to create a nice ink blended background using the same inks. So I'm creating an ink blended background with the yellow, orange and pink, just a nice transition between these three colors. And this is super easy. I go in with my small blending tool for this and just blending that ink on the background. I then cut that to size so that this can be my backdrop for that frame that I have already die cut. So with that, I can now go in and add this to my A2 card base. So I have a nice white border all around. I did add white splatter onto this background, and now I am just stamping the sentiment with obsidian ink, and I can then start layering and adding the elements. So I have used some foam tape on the bird cage, added some string so that it looks like it's hanging from the top, and then I'm just going to decide where I want to place my butterflies and the foliage elements. So just creating a nice little composition. I go in and adhere the foliage elements with liquid glue, balancing them by adding them to the bottom of the cage on one corner and then to the top of the cage on the opposite corner. And the white border just really helps anchoring all these elements with that colorful border and background going on right in the center of the card. So once I have those elements down in place, I am using foam tape in the center of the butterflies just to create a little dimension. That also helps me give this illusion of the wings kind of moving, so creating that sensation of movement and flutter in the butterflies. So I adhere those butterflies down in place, and with that this card is complete. I did use enchanted gold pigment ink to just distress the edges of that white card base that I have going, and I added some antique gold sequins near the sentiment just to anchor and add another level of bling onto this card. So that is a look at this card complete, and I have used these butterflies along with another cover die from this new release, so the pixel cover die, to create a secondary card using similar techniques of ink blending and adding these butterflies. And that is a look at my second card, which I think is equally beautiful. So you can see how those shine on the white and now how they shine on the black. I really hope that you have enjoyed today's video and it has given you ideas. Again, do hop along to enter the chance to win in the fabulous giveaway. And don't forget to leave me some purple hearts. Until the next time, take care and bye-bye.